Welcome to Ekeeda. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss about the network model formulation. To solve the load flow problem on a given power system, it is very important to formulate the given power system. So let us begin. So dear friends, in last video, we have seen the introduction to the load flow studies related to the power system. There we have seen that in order to ensure the smooth operation and the smooth control of a given power system, we go for this study called load flow studies. Again, in order to enhance the capacity of the existing power system, in order to cope up with the increasing load, we need to enhance the power handling capacity as well as the power generating capacity of the power system. So in order to fulfill these two conditions, one is smooth operation and smooth controlling, second one is enhancing the capacity of the power system. For these two reasons, the load flow study is very important. And as we have already discussed in the introduction to the load flow study, that load flow study is nothing but the process of obtaining the four different electrical quantities in the given power system at different points, and particularly that power system is operating at steady state condition. Now if I take practical power system as it is, to solve the load flow problem it will be very difficult. That is why we go for network model formulation. That is why we are going for network model formulation. So in this video or in this session, we'll be learning about how to model a practical power system so that we can utilize that model to carry out the load flow study. Okay, so here the basic or the main important elements of the power system that we should consider in the load flow study. Let us see how to replace those important equipments of the power system in the network model formulation. So first, the very important element of the power system is what I can say a generator. I'll replace this generator complex power source. I'll replace it with complex power source. Next, transmission lines. Transmission lines. See, basically, you might have studied this modeling of the transmission line. We have different classification of the transmission line. One of the classification based on their physical length, we classify the transmission line as medium transmission line, short transmission line, and long transmission line. The transmission line whose length is less than or equal to 80 kilometer, we consider that as a short transmission line, and the transmission line which is having length more than 80 kilometers but less than 240 or 250 kilometers, we consider that as a medium transmission line, and the transmission line whose length is more than 250 kilometer, we consider that as a long transmission line. Practically, we come across in most of the cases is the medium transmission line. We come across the medium transmission line. But of course, we have some places where long transmission lines are installed. Okay, but most of the cases you will come across the medium transmission line or the short transmission line. If you remember the modeling of this transmission line, we model the medium transmission line or short transmission line with its equivalent pi model. See, why we are going only for pi model? Why not we go for a T model? Nominal T model is there and nominal pi model is there. I'll explain you here why we should not go for nominal T model here. Why we should only go for the pi model. See, let me first draw the nominal pi model, how it look like. Okay, this is nominal pi model. And what about nominal T model? We'll have a capacitor here and this impedance pi, it will get divided here. So this is the nominal T model and this is nominal pi model. Okay, see, if we go with nominal T model, I'm getting an extra node here. I'm getting an extra node here. An extra node, it means it will make my calculations, or it will make my calculation step little more lengthier. Okay, because I need to solve for one more node. Okay, here I'm not getting extra node in the nominal pi model. That is why the nominal pi model is preferred while modeling while modeling power system for the load flow study. Okay, next one, the next important equipment connected on the power system is the load. Load, it is modeled as negative complex power source. Load, it is modeled as negative complex power source. See, why I'm using negative complex power source? Because it is going to absorb the complex power. Okay, and generator we are considering, we can say that positive complex power source. Okay, because it is giving the positive complex power. Okay, so this way we can replace these important equipments of the power system. Okay, one more important equipment we have in our power system, and that can be the transformer. Transformer, it can be replaced by a simple series impedance. See, sometimes we represent it only with a reactance because the value of the resistance as compared to the reactance is very small. Okay, sometimes it is represented with an impedance or simply a series reactance. That's it. So these are the four important equipments of the power system, and how we are going to represent those equipment in the network that we are going to use for the load flow study. It is in front of you now. Generator, complex power source, transmission line. It should be modeled as pi model only. We should consider The other model we can consider when as and when needed. Suppose if you are going for the load flow study on a long transmission line, there of course you can go for the other models as well. Okay, load a negative complex power source, or you can call this as negative generation, or you can also call this as negative power generator, as it is going to absorb the power. We can call this as negative power generator. And of course transformer, we can replace, or we can model it as impedance or simply reactance. Okay, so now a simple power system, for example, I have given here in this figure. Okay, this power system is comprising of n number of buses. It is comprising of n number of buses. This is bus 1, this is bus 2, this is bus 3, this is bus 4, and suppose this is bus n. Okay, in between here some number of buses and other equipments may be connected. Okay, now in this power system, not all these buses will have generator. If I talk about particularly the power system of India, you will find around 15 to 20% of the buses will have generator connected on them. Okay, there may be a possibility on the bus where load will be connected. You can see this bus number 3 and bus number 4. For that, load is connected here, and there may be a possibility in the power system that on a particular bus a generator as well as a load and transmission line can be connected. For that, you can see bus number 2, and there may be a possibility where on the bus nothing is connected except transmission line. No load is connected here, no generator is connected here. Okay, only transmission lines are connected here. Okay, so now I'm going to model this n bus power system. Okay, I'm going to model the network for this n bus power system. Here in this below figure, I have considered one of the bus from this power system. I have taken out one of the bus from this power system. Okay, now suppose on this particular bus, on this particular ith bus, or I have already denoted here. So let us suppose here, let this be the jth bus, any random bus. On this bus, suppose some number of generators are connected here, and some loads are connected here, and of course some transmission lines are connected here. Now with two simple assumptions, and with the help of KCL, that is Kirchhoff's current law, I'm going to write a mathematical equation for this jth bus with two simple assumptions. See, remember those two assumptions are very, very important. Let us try to understand what are those assumptions, and I'll tell you why I'm going for KCL only, why I'm using KCL, Kirchhoff's current law only, to model the power system, or to write the mathematical equation for this power system. I'll tell you that. First, let us try to understand what are the assumptions. What are those assumptions? The first assumption is that there shall be, or there is no mutual coupling there is no mutual coupling between the transmission lines, between the transmission lines. Okay, this is the first assumption, that there is no mutual coupling between the transmission lines. Okay, the second assumption is that regulating transformers are not connected in the power system. Regulating transformers are not connected in the power system. See, when these two assumptions, if we don't consider, suppose if we are considering a power system where there is a mutual coupling between the transmission line, and of course, if there is a regulating transformer is connected in that power system, then we cannot simply use this modeling. We cannot simply model the power system the way I'm going to explain you here. Okay, as I want to make the things easier, simpler for you, that is why I'm going for these two assumptions. Okay, as and when needed in future, we'll discuss when there is a coupling between the transmission line is considered, then how to model. And of course, when there is a regulating transformer is there in the power system, then in that case, how to do the modeling, that also we'll discuss in future lectures. Okay, so if I consider these two assumptions, as well as now I'm going to apply KCL on this bus. Okay, if why I'm going for KCL only, I'll give you that, I'll give you explanation on that. But before that, or before application of KCL on this jth bus, let us try to furthermore simplify, or let us try to furthermore elaborate the things related to this jth bus. The complex power injected at jth bus, it will be the power of that jth bus. Complex power injected in jth bus it will be simply SGJ. Okay, as it is injected, that is why I'm using SG. The complex power absorbed at the jth bus, complex power absorbed in jth bus, it will be SDJ. It is because of the load connected here. Okay, now see, this is the power being injected in that particular bus. In the particular jth bus, it is SGJ. The power which is absorbed in the in the jth bus, it is SDJ. Okay, now I'll take a very simple example to make you to make you this thing understand clearly. Suppose you are earning, suppose you are injecting 100 rupees in your wallet. Okay, suppose you are injecting, or you are putting 100 rupees in your wallet. Okay, and out of that 100 rupees, suppose you are absorbing or your expenses are 50 rupees. So you have 50 rupees surplus, or you have 50 rupees balance with you. Okay, if you have something surplus with you, then you can inject that surplus amount to others. You can give that 50 rupees, you can save that with you, but better you can give it to others. Same thing is it happens with this Jeth bus. See, these generators, they are injecting some complex power in that particular bus, and these loads, they absorb some part of that injected power, they absorb some part of that injected complex power. And what about the remaining complex power? It will be injected into these transmission lines. It will be injected into this transmission line. So how we can write the net injected power in the Jth bus? It will be net injected power in Jth bus. Let that be SI. Let that be SI. So how I can formulate for this SI? Can I write this SI as, oh, it should be SJ. It should not be SI, because we are considering for Jth bus, it should be SJ. Okay, so it should be SJ. So it will be SGJ minus SDJ. Okay, complex power generated at Jth bus, complex power absorbed at the Jth bus, and the net complex power will be difference of these two. Okay, so this much of power, it will be injected at the Jth bus, at the particular bus. Okay, or I can furthermore elaborate this as the complex power injected at Jth bus, it will be real power plus reactive power. Okay, suppose this is equation number 1, and let this be equation number 2. Okay, so with the reference of equation number 2, can I write this complex power generated by the generator at Jth bus, which are connected at Jth bus, will it be real power generated at Jth bus plus reactive powers generated at Jth bus? Let us call this as equation number 3. Same way, can I go for complex power absorbed at the Jth bus? Will it be real power absorbed at the Jth bus plus J reactive power absorbed at the Jth bus? So let this be equation number 4. Okay, so with the using all these 4 equations, can I write the complex power or the net complex power injected at Jth bus, that is Sj? Can I write this in this way? Real power generated at Jth bus minus real power absorbed at the Jth bus plus J reactive power generated at Jth bus minus reactive power absorbed at the Jth bus. Okay, so with this equation, we can easily calculate the net complex power injected in this jth bus, in this particular jth bus. Okay, now let us come to the point. With these two assumptions, what are those two assumptions? There is no mutual coupling between the transmission line, and again, there is no regulating transformer connected in this power system. If I consider these two assumptions and if I apply a KCL here, applying KCL at jth bus, see, if I when I'm going to apply the KCL, I need to know the currents which are entering in this jth bus and which are leaving this jth bus. Is it? I need to know the currents which are entering this jth bus and the currents which are leaving this jth bus. Okay. So current, I'll get the equation for the currents. Okay, if I'm applying KCL, I'll definitely get a current vector here. I'll definitely get a vector of the currents. Okay, so I'll get a general form. I'll get a general equation for that jth bus, and it will be I bus is equal to admittance bus into voltage bus. Particularly, the order of these buses are n by 1, it is n by n, and it is again n by 1 only. Okay, see, this I bus, it is a vector matrix, or I can call this as a column matrix comprising of currents, comprising of current at particular bus. Okay, particular, for one particular jth bus, if I want to write, for particularly for jth bus, if I want to write this KCL, I'll get it as IJ, net current entering at this jth bus. I'll get this equation IJ, and it will be equal to admittance of that bus, okay, or admittance matrix, not admittance for that particular bus, it should be the admittance matrix, and voltage at that bus, jth bus. In general, if by using this equation, I can write a general model, or I can write a general mathematical model for this given complete power system. For this given complete power system, I'm modeling this. See here, n number of buses I'm considering. Okay, that n, small n, it is denoting number of buses. Okay, so this I bus, this uh, matrix, or this vector, which is a column vector, it will consist of the currents, or I can call as bus currents, or the current which is being injected at each bus. Current of each bus. Okay, this Y bus, it is nothing but admittance it is nothing but admittance matrix, and V bus, it is nothing but voltage of each bus. Okay, see, this is the vectors n by 1, as there are n number of buses are there. Suppose if there is a, suppose this value of n, if it is 3, suppose it is number of buses. If this value is 3, how I can write this formula, how I can write this modeling? I will write this as I1, I2, I3. It will be equal to Y11, Y12, Y13, Y21, Y22, Y23, Y31, Y32, Y33 into this voltages at those buses V1, V2 and V3. Okay, so in general, you please remember here the order of these matrices, the order of this matrix, the order of current matrix, it will be n by 1. The order of this Y bus matrix, it will be n by n, and the order of this Y voltage bus matrix, it will be n by 1 again. Okay, so with this simple mathematical equation, we have modeled the given power system in this simple mathematical equation. Okay, so now using this simple mathematical equation, we can carry out the load flow study very easily. Okay, now the question arises, why we have selected the KCL only? Why we have selected the KCL only? Because with the help of KCL, whatever models, whatever equation we have got, with this equation, we can utilize the purpose of applying KCL. I must give that note as well. Using KCL will help us to save storage requirement. Okay, of course, in at this particular point, you will not be able to understand uh, how we are able to save the storage requirement. Of course, when we will discuss the further part of this, at that point you will able to understand how we can achieve the storage, how we can save the storage requirement. Okay, means uh, load flow study, we are not going to solve this manually. We are, of course, we are going to use the help, we are going to take the help of the digital computers. So in digital computers, the key point is it is related to the memory. Okay, uh, the more you are utilizing the memory, more will be the sluggish your program. Okay, your program will carry very slowly. It will take much time. If suppose if you are taking less storage, if you are not taking a lot of the storage, then your program will not take much time to run. Okay, it will show you the results within a small period of time. Okay, so it will help us to get the results very quickly. That is why we are going for KCL. Okay, so how it will help us to store or to save the storage, or to save the or to use the minimum storage, that point I will tell you in the coming lecture, in the in the next to next lecture, which is related to the properties of the Z bus matrix. In that lecture I will explain you this point. Okay, of course you may be getting this question in your mind, that why we are going only for the Y bus for the load flow study, and why we are not going for the Z bus. for the load flow study. That point also I will discuss you while discussing the properties of the Z bus matrix. Okay, so this is how we can model the given power system to solve or to carry out the load flow study. Okay, few more points I want to add here related to the Y bus matrix, particularly these components, that is Y I, Y I K. See, YII, or suppose it is YIK. It means that you have a ith bus here and somewhere you have a kth bus, and in between some transmission line will be connected. Okay, of course, when there is a line will be there, it will have some admittance. Okay, so both way, if I consider this as YIK or YKI, both way its magnitude is not going to change, because physically I'm not changing the transmission line which is connected between these two buses. Okay, so if I look it from I to kth bus or k to ith bus, its magnitude is not going to change. Okay, so this admittance between any two buses, strictly here I should not be equal to k, here I should not be equal to k. If this is the case, then this admittance is called as short circuit transfer admittance. It is called as short circuit transfer admittance. Okay, under the condition I is not equal to k. Now what about this YII? It is nothing but short circuit driving point impedance. Short circuit driving point admittance, not impedance. It should be admittance. Or you can call this as self admittance as well. Or you can call this as self admittance as well. Okay, so with this point, we'll stop here. We'll continue our discussion in coming lectures. Thank you very much.